Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
MJ in the house.
Future WWE Hall of Famer, mind you. Let me tell you this.
I'm not in there yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
But you will be.
Yeah, I will.
You know Sean wants to be the first three-timer.
Three-timer,
yeah.
yeah.
There you go. Let me tell you, you enjoy the in-studio shoot interviews 4 times a week. It isn't cheap to put these productions together, folks. We need your help.
No, because they got to pay me.
Coronavirus has killed the nightlife in a lot of ways. We are night owls, Marty and I, but that's a different story for a different time. One way you can help is to check out the great merchandise we have in the Boston Wrestling eBay store. It is perfect for any wrestling man cave or any collection.
That's right. Check it out.
Arguably the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Get this limited edition collector's autograph print personally signed by 2-time WWE Hall of Famer Nature Boy Ric Flair, inscribed 16 times for each of his recognized World Championship reigns. One of only 50 made direct from our friends at WWE. Also signed by original artist Rob Schamberger. Help keep wrestling legends working. Get this awesome Ric Flair collectible for your wrestling collection now.
Cheer. Why, hello. I would ask what was on your mind, but I already know. You want to know what has got my beard looking oh so majestic. And I'll tell you, it's sexy as hell beard care. Coconut oil, vitamin E oil, almond oil, both sweet and bitter, shea butter, it's all natural. Yes, JTG has actually come out with a high quality product. So support your boy by going to sahbeardcare.com and take one step closer to becoming sexy as hell. Cheer. Ooh, cheer. You know?
Boston Wrestling Sports and the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to a special installment of Memories and Legends. I'm Dan Marty here, joined by my good friend, my 2-time Hall of Fame friend, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Tony, we had some very interesting feedback from the episode from last month on some of the particular vices you have in your life. Google that. It's a very interesting episode. Tonight, though, Tony, WWE is getting ready to present Extreme Rules in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a great wrestling city, the home of the late Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah.
But it is the 30th anniversary in just a couple of days of the passing, the murder that you witnessed firsthand of the late, great Bruiser Brody. Now, we had you here a couple of years back We're going to play that footage when we discussed it, so we don't have to completely relive it once again. But just briefly, a few thoughts on that night. Now, 30 years ago, we lost certainly one of the most brutal, vicious, violent, memorable characters in the history of the industry.
The wrestling world and wrestling fans lost a great one. I always picture when Hulk Hogan became champion, a match between King Kong Bruiser Brody and the Hulk Hogan. That would have sold out every arena, and it would have been one of the best matches Hogan had ever been in, including the match with him and the Warrior. It would have outdone the match with him and Andre the Giant, because Brody was a guy that was the same size as Hogan, but he could move 1,000 miles per hour. I would say the main thing that I got from the assassination and murder of my dear friend King Kong Bruiser Brody, Frank Goodish, was that what Klondike Bill first told me when my first week in the business. He said, "Kid, if you retire from this business and you have one friend, consider yourself lucky." That night, after the stabbing of Bruiser Brody, not one wrestler came to his aid. Not one. They didn't come over to see how he was doing. They didn't help to put him on the girder. They didn't go to the hospital to visit him. In fact, as soon as he was out of the dressing room, they started thinking about their match. Right. They had the show. When I came back from the hospital, I walked in the dressing room. I thought I walked into a Christmas party. There was no sadness. There was nobody upset. Everybody was laughing and joking, bragging about and talking about their match.
All right, well, Tony,
it was like it never happened. Then everybody got mad at me because I kept talking about it. Tony, it's over now. Forget about it. Forget about it. It ain't got nothing to do with you. That between them two. That between them two. I hear that from just about everybody in the dressing room. That between them two. Stay out of it. I couldn't stay out of it. I saw a man get stabbed to death right in front of me. How can I stay out of it?
I just want to, before we roll the footage from our previous interview, for the fans that might not be aware of what happened back in July of 1988 in Puerto Rico for Carlos Colon's promotion, you were wrestling on a big stadium show.
Mm-hmm.
Bruiser Brody was there. He was called into the bathroom area by his fellow wrestler, Jose
Mm-hmm.
Gonzalez, who was also known as Invader Number One, and he was stabbed to death by Invader Number One. What we're going to witness, we're going to go to now is footage from an interview Tony and I did in the past. It's not funny. There's nothing humorous about it. It is a tale of one of the all-time greats in professional wrestling that was murdered, sliced apart, right in front of Tony Atlas's eyes. Let's roll that interview now. When we come back, maybe we'll talk a little bit about the aftermath of what happened with the murder of Bruiser Brody, the 30th anniversary this week.
They could go out and they could destroy. Like, there's one thing before you end this, I want to straighten out with the people. Because I was on the internet the other day, and it kind of shocked me of how people would take something and use their own opinion, not facts, their own opinion. The stabbing death of King Kong Bruiser Brody in Puerto Rico.
Now that is,
I was an eyewitness, and I hear people say
a big
this
part of your
about,
career.
I hear people say this about me. They said I was a coward and I didn't do nothing. I was the only one that did something.
Well, explain what you saw. You're in the locker room with the guys.
I was in the locker room.
Puerto Rico.
No, it didn't start there. Where it started, Brodie was sitting on the steps of the Tanama Hotel in Puerto Rico. And I was coming out of the hotel, and I saw Dutch Mantell and Brodie sitting on the steps waiting for their ride.
That's Zeb Coulter for fans.
Right, yeah, that's right. And I said, Brodie, you're gonna be late, brother. I said, what time your ride supposed to be here? He said, I'm waiting for Jose, the guy that stabbed
Gonzalez,
him. The one that stabbed him. They rode together all week. He said, I'm waiting on Jose. And I said, well, I said, if you want, you can go with me. They had a gym they called the Muscle Factory. And the owner, I invited him to the gym. So he was going to come by and pick me up, him and his wife, and take me to Bayamon. So I said, you can ride with us. I said, I can tell the front desk that that you gone just in case he come late. I said, he probably got tied up or something. He said, well, you don't, man? I said, no, man, come on. So I got in the back seat. Dutch got in the back seat with me. The owner of Muscle Factory was driving. His wife slid over to the center. Brodie sat in the front seat. We get to Bayamon. When I walked in, Jose, Victor Garrica, and Carlos Colon was sitting in a football huddle.
And those were the promoters, the key figures of the promotion.
They were the promoters. They was in like a football huddle, just talking. As soon as we walked through the door, I noticed Jose get up, walk out the door. I go and I sat down, and I was drawing a picture of the Youngblood. It was Mark and Chris Youngblood.
Yep.
Ricky Romero, his son. Yeah, his son. So Brodie walked over. He said, "Wow, Tony, I didn't know you draw like that." He said, that looked just like them guys. He said, "I had pictures done before of my son," and he said, "but they're character drawing." He said that people on the sidewalk do these characters. He said, "I wonder." He said, "You think you got enough time to do a picture of my son before we leave?" I said, "Yeah, we're going to be here for a week." I said, "I'm almost finished with this one." I said, "I'll be finished with this one in probably about 30 minutes. I said, "I get started on your boy today." So as he was talking to me, Jose came by and said, real nice. Said, "Brodie, can I talk to you?" Brodie said, "Oh, sure." Real nice. They walked into the shower. As soon as they walk in the shower, these are the words I hear. Just like that. As soon as they walked through the door, I jumped up, threw my pad on the thing. I pulled open the door. As soon as I pulled open the door, Carlos Colon cut me off, ran right across, grabbed Jose, pushed him up against the wall, and went, "No, Jose, no, Jose." And I looked up, and he had a knife in his hand. So I grabbed Brodie around the waist. His intestines fell on my arm. I pulled Brodie back. Brodie said, "Don't let him hurt me, brother." I said, "Brother, ain't nobody gonna do nothing to you." So I laid him over on the floor. Then I went and I told another, I can't think of his last name, but his name was Victor also. But it wasn't Eureka. It was another Victor that worked in the office. I said, "Call the ambulance. Brodie just got stabbed." So he took off to call the ambulance. Brodie laid on the floor for about 45 minutes, and I stood over him and everything.
45 minutes after being stabbed, he laid on the floor.
Because this was at the beginning of the show. People was coming in, so the ambulance was stuck behind the traffic.
Okay.
Because we had just gotten there, so people was coming in. And back in them days, these stadiums used to sell completely out. They soccer stadium, what they were. So I stood over Brodie, and finally the ambulance came. So the guy tried. It was an elderly guy and a woman, and they tried to lift him, and they couldn't lift him. So the elderly guy looked at the wrestlers. I mean, every wrestler in that dressing room said, "Can one of y'all help me?" The wrestlers in that room did this.
They turned away.
Turn away.
Wow.
Every wrestler in there turned away.
Why do you, in your opinion, why would they do that?
Didn't want to get involved.
With someone's life on the line.
Didn't want to get involved.
Really?
They in a strange country. Didn't want to get involved.
Very political situation.
The problem with Tony Atlas, I'm not the smallest guy in the world. I got involved. I went over. I reached to pick Brodie up. And Brodie said, "Don't drop me, brother." I said, "Brother, I curl more than what you weigh." And he put a little smile on his face. He laughed. I picked him up. I put him on the girder. Now, the driver was getting ready to pull off. He turned again to the wrestlers in the dressing room, all the American wrestlers, all the Puerto Rican wrestlers. He said, "Would somebody like to go with him to the hospital?" They turned away. Then I said, "I go." So I got my wrestling trunks on, I got my boots on, no shirt, no nothing. I get on the back of the ambulance with Brodie. And then I started thinking as the ambulance pulling out the dressing room, I said, "Tony, you can't speak Spanish."
Right.
So there was another wrestler. His name was Hercules. They used to call him Hercules. No, not that Hercules.
No.
He was a Puerto Rican wrestler. He was real slim. At that time, he was probably about 180 pounds, maybe 6 feet. Then his son was a wrestler then. He will retire, but they used to call him Hercules. He used to have a good body in his younger. He was an older guy. So I saw him standing there as the ambulance went by. Now, I'm not bragging, but I was pretty strong in my younger days. So he had his back to me, and I grabbed him by the back of his belt. And I did a one-arm curl and pulled him in the elevator, in the ambulance with me.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. And he's praying for me to let him go. Tony, don't get me involved. Don't get me involved, Tony. Come on, don't get me. I said, brother, all you got to do is just repeat what I say. I said, if they say anything to you, just say all you did was repeat what I said. You don't have to say nothing. Just tell them what I said. So he said, oh, Tony. The whole time he's going, oh, Tony. So then we pull off. We get to the hospital. When we get to the hospital, I said, hey, I got a friend. He need to see the doctor. Okay, see you in a minute. And he would repeat. The guy with me, he repeat what I say. Every time I say something, he repeated. So I said, what the hell are they saying? They said, well, a stab in Puerto Rico is like a cold in America. I said, but he's hurt bad. So I said, which one is the doctor? He said, the one over there, with the board. I grabbed that doctor by the back of his leg, put him on my shoulder like this. Just like you carrying a sack of potatoes. And I took him in there where Brodie was at.
Really?
He's calling for security. He calling security in Spanish. And I said, well, I told the guy that with me, I said, tell him if the security jumped me, I said, they're going to be on the table with Brodie. So they came to the door, but they saw me. I was, pretty good sized guy there. So they saw me and I see them backing up. So I knew I didn't have to worry about them because they didn't want to mess with me. And so the doctor asked Brodie, said, how you doing? And Brodie said, I'm just waiting here for you to help me. So the doctor lifted his hand, pool of blood here. So right then I started crying. So the doctor said, we need to get him in emergency right away. We need to get him right away. So I said, well, let me take his shoes off. So I took his shoes off, his feet was blue. Oh, so I said, y'all hurry up, man. Hurry and get him in there. I said, come on, man. There's no more circulation in his feet. They're turning blue. So they rushed him into the emergency. So I sat outside the emergency room for about an hour and a half. And the doctor came out and said, we got him stable now. You can leave. I said, you sure? He said, yeah, you can leave now until you come back and see him in the morning. I said, well, can I just stay here? And can I talk to him or what? He said, no. He said, it'd be best. He's getting his rest now. So I left. Then I get to the arena. Oh, man, I got this armbar, I got this. And I go, they talking about their freaking match.
Wow.
They just like nothing happened. They talking about, oh, what a great match. Hey, we really got the people going, did we? Oh, blah, yeah. And this is guys here in the hospital fighting for his life, and these guys celebrating the freaking match. So Carlos said, Tony, we don't need no trouble. Calm down, Tony. Because he saw I was getting mad. So I said, I'm going to kick everybody in here. So Carlos Colon said, no, Tony, go to the ring. And he had me against the Sheik that night. And I wasn't going to wrestle the Iron Sheik, okay. the Iron Sheik, because just in case I get a little out of hand, they figured the Sheik could handle me because he knew I was upset.
Right.
So I'm talking to the Sheik. Just funny. I hate to laugh, but the Sheik is just funny anyway. Even when he's serious,
if you know what he's created in this room
he's
over the
funny.
past 10 years.
Yeah, even when he's serious, he's funny. So I got the Sheik in a chin lock. I said, Sheik, you hear about what happened to Brodie? And this is where I first heard it. He said, yeah, did you see the fan that stabbed him? I said, there's no fan stabbed him. No. I said, no, Sheik. He said, what happened? And I said, Jose stabbed him. Gonzalez? I said, yeah. You know what he said. You know how the Sheik talk. I don't want to say it on TV. That MF, he stood up in the middle of the ring. He broke loose my hold and was standing in the ring. That motherfucker, he stand the Bruiser, a King Kong of a Brodie. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to whoop. I said, Sheik, we got to finish the match. No, I'm going to go and get that Jose. He's in the ring telling me this. He just forgot all about it. He's just so funny.
I can picture this.
Yeah, you can picture him, right? He forgot all about the wrestling match. He just jumped up. Well, let's go home, brother. Huh, you want to pin me or I'll pin you? Oh, fuck it, brother. Let's go. And walked out of the ring.
That mad.
Oh, he went back. He told all the, what we call the heels, all the bad guys what happened. So I come back to the dressing room with this policeman there. He knew me from the gym, you know, because my buddy from the gym was there. You know, he stayed too, you know, because he brought Brodie. So he was like, Tony, everything okay, everything okay? I said, yeah, yeah. So I walked in the dressing room, and this policeman walked up to me. He said, did you get a look at the person that stabbed him? I said, yeah. I said, there you go, right there. Right there. That's him. He said, they just call him Invader there.
Yeah, Invader number one, right?
Yeah, he said, you mean Vader? I said, yeah, that's him. That's the one that stabbed him. He said, but Tony, that ain't what I was told. He said, I don't did my report. He said, a wrestling fan stabbed him when he was coming to the door. I said, oh, no. I said, he stabbed him in that room right there. I said, you don't believe me? Go back there. Probably some blood still on the floor. So the guy walked in the back there. He saw the blood on the wall and everything. He said, I thought it happened outside the dressing room. I said, oh, no. No, it happened right in that dressing room right there. I said, and that's the man that did it.
So what did everyone do as the show came to an end and realization hit in that, you know, Brodie
Telling me to shut up.
Really?
Everybody told me to shut my mouth, Brodie helped a lot of people in this business. The night that Brodie died, and I was challenged anybody in the world on what I'm about ready to say. Brodie had one friend that night, and you looking at him. He had one friend that night. His last day here on this planet, only one person stood up for Brodie.
Not Abdullah.
Well, Abdullah didn't know.
They were in the other locker room.
Right, right. So
that's what folks don't understand. There were two locker rooms.
There was two locker rooms.
You're going to have to bring that a little closer, bud. I can't.
Abdullah didn't even know about it. Didn't know about it until the last minute. And so the next day, Abdullah called a meeting, and he's the one that boycotted the tour. Abdullah was his best friend. He boycotted the tour and said, "We're not going to wrestle no more for this." So
he went home the next morning.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he went home, and so Abdullah said, "Well, I wasn't there. I didn't see it." He said, "But somebody should go to the police station and make a report." And I said, "Yeah, I would go." And Abdullah said, "You going by yourself?" He said, "Maybe somebody should go with you." And Sika of the Wild Samoan, he said, "I go with you, Tony." And people that don't know Sika, when Sika went with you, you was taking the United States Marines, the Special Forces, and the Navy SEAL all in one person there. And I mean, he was a tough SUB, brother. So I felt safe as safe could be with Sika with me. He was a legitimate animal. So I made a report to the police, told them exactly what happened. They took my information, wrote down my phone number, and they said, "We will call you for the trial." I said, "I got one question." I said, "I own a 357 Magnum. I would like to bring it." He said, "If you could clear it with the airlines." He said, "Because we can only give you protection in the courthouse. From the airport to the courthouse," he said, "we cannot protect you." And I said, "As long as I can bring my peace, I'll be here." He said, "We're going to contact you." Well, I didn't hear anything more about that trial. And Dutch Mantell could tell you the same thing because he was supposed to have been a witness too. I didn't hear anything else about that trial until it was over with. They never contacted us.
I've heard that.
Never. And I hear people on the computer saying that I didn't do my job. The guy that saved my life, the only reason I'm able to tell this story is a guy by the name of Savio Vega. After I came back to the police station, Savio Vega said, "Tony, do not go to your room. They're coming after you because you talking." He said, "Go to the airport. Here's your bag." He went to the room. Savio Vega gave me my bag and said, "Go to the airport, Tony, and wait for the police to call you and come back for the trial." He said, "But leave." He said, they waiting on you.
So this was a very dangerous situation. One man was murdered, and you were the one that was willing to say something.
Running my mouth. That's right. And so what ended up happening, I went to the airport, and I waited at the airport, and I caught the first flight out. But if it wasn't for Savio Vega, I would not be here to tell the story because they were waiting upstairs for me to do me in.
How do you respond to the people that pretty much said what you said? You know, that you are a coward, that you fled and hid in Maine and no man's land to get away from people from the Puerto Rican mafia. Did you run from the Puerto Rican mafia?
No, I didn't even know they had one.
Okay, well, neither did I, but that was one of the tales.
No, I didn't even know they had one. But what it is, see, people always saying things. If you didn't witness something, if you wasn't there, thou should not have false witness against our neighbors. And if you didn't witness something or knew somebody that had witnessed, you're giving false testimony against our neighbor. You're not only destroying the fact that Brodie had one person that stood up for him. And that's why I learned in wrestling, I had one friend in a 40-year career. And that one friend I had in professional wrestling was S.D. Jones. That was the only friend I ever had in professional wrestling in my whole 40-some years. The Klondike Bill told me, I end with this, said, Tony, if you leave this business, you had just one friend when you leave this business. Wrestlers are not friends, they're business associates. When you leave the WWF or WWE, you ain't gonna get no phone calls. Nobody gonna answer your phone call anymore. When I left the WWE, the only wrestler that talked to me was Mark Henry and Teddy Long, nobody else. It was like I was never there. They forgot about me. 2 seconds after I walked out that door. 2 seconds after Bruiser Brody got killed, wrestlers went back, worked. It was like he was never there.
That is
They even
something.
went in the ring and did the show while he was in the hospital. Not one wrestler. People that badmouth me on this Brodie thing, ask yourself this question. How come every time Brodie comes up, you don't know what other wrestler was around? I wasn't the only wrestler in that dressing room. How come the other ones didn't say nothing? Why are they not in it? Think about it.
Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Marty.
And this is the man of the hour, Leo Rush.
It was all over BostonWrestling.com and our social media. But Leo, brother, they got to check out some of this merch.
They got to.
Check it out, fans, right now, available on eBay.
As the Demon, he became the first WWE Universal Champion at SummerSlam 2016. Here's your chance to own this limited edition collector's autographed art print, personally signed by Finn Balor, one of only 50 made, direct from our friends at WWE. Also signed by original artist Rob Schamberger. Help keep wrestling legends working. Get this awesome collectible for your wrestling collection now.
Cheer! Why, hello! I would ask what was on your mind, but I already know. You want to know what has got my beard looking oh so majestic. And I'll tell you, it's sexy as hell beard care. Coconut oil, vitamin E oil, almond oil, both sweet and bitter, shea butter, it's all natural. Yes, JTG has actually come out with a high quality product. So support your boy by going to sahbeardcare.com and take one step closer to becoming sexy as...
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back again. A very serious topic. A very somber topic. It is unbelievable, Tony, to me that it has been 30 years. I remember I think I was in the 2nd grade when it happened, and I actually found out long before the days of the internet and things like that. It was a few months later in the Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine, and in the back section they had an article that both Brodie and Adrian Adonis died in the same month. And you know, it was startling to a young man to find out exactly how it happened. Tony, what was the aftermath of what happened in Puerto Rico on that deadly night?
Well, first of all, to be honest with you, in my opinion, ain't nobody cared.
No one cared.
Now, Abdullah called a meeting for all the boys, and we always going to go down to the police station to make a statement. And the only one that went was me and Sika, which is Roman Reigns' father.
Yep.
And he was my bodyguard because Sabio Vega told me, be careful, because they was looking for me because I was talking. But back up a little bit, when I came back to the dressing room, a policeman approached me. And he said, Tony, I was going to meet you at your room tonight, but I'm glad you made it back to the match. And he said, if you didn't make it, he said, 'cause we want to get a statement from you. He said, I got a statement from everybody in the dressing room. I got a statement. And he said, did you get a look at the wrestling fan that stabbed Brodie? I said, what wrestling fan? He said, everybody in here, everybody said that a wrestling fan did it. I said, no wrestling fan did it. I said, person right there did it. I didn't call him a person. I used much harsh language.
What did you say?
I said, that motherfucker right there did it. And he said, you mean Vader? I said, yes, Vader. He said, but everybody in here told me a wrestling fan did it. So they already had a story that
They were booking it.
They already had a story to give to law enforcement. Then I went a step further. I went to the police station. That's why it ended up on trial. If I had kept my mouth shut, there would have been no trial, and it had been forgotten about 30 minutes after it happened. See, one thing about, I hear wrestling fans say all the time, say, aren't you guys all friends? No, we're not. We are business associates. When you leave a territory, I could call a wrestler every day while I'm there. As soon as the WWE releases me, not one person would pick up the phone.
Why do you think that is?
Wrestling is not like football. Football, you're a team. So you work as a team. Wrestling, everybody there is subcontract. Wrestlers are a bunch of independent businesses. Tony Atlas is not a person. Anthony White is the person. Tony Atlas is my company. So the character you create is your company. It's not a person. Hulk Hogan is not a person. Hulk Hogan is his company. Just like our president would tell you, the name Trump is his company. That's his money. That's his brand. And what you paid to put that brand on. Air Jordan, Michael Jordan. Jordan's is a sneaker that is a company now. It's a brand name, Jordans. I got to get these new Jordans. And once a name become money, anything that affiliated with money is a business. So wrestling is a business. It's not a sport. It's more of a business. And what these guys do, there's only room for one at the top. So they figure when you gone, it's more job security for them.
They'll get a little closer.
They get a little closer. I put in my book, when I was homeless, I knew more millionaires than the Rockefellers, and I couldn't bum a quarter.
Wow.
When you get down and out...
Did you ever attempt to reach out to people when you were homeless?
Look at Bruno when he passed away. The known guys did stuff for guys, all this stuff. Ain't nobody moaning over Bruno. It was like he was never here. Within a week, it was like he never walked the face of the earth. Every wrestler that passed away, we talk about, hey, you hear about Johnny Valiant get hit by a truck? Yeah, man, I like Johnny. End of story. Nobody's calling his wife or trying to do a fundraiser for his wife or kids or nothing to help them family. They just lost they just lost one of their providers to the family. When these guys, stuff happened to these guys, ain't nobody trying to do nothing for their family. Ronnie Piper, a good guy. What they do for Piper's wife after he passed? Anybody try to console her or anybody trying to help her now or doing anything for her? A wrestler is like an old veteran. I mean, they cheer him when he's going out to fight the war. But as soon as he come home and take that uniform off, it's like he's forgotten about. He can't get insurance. He can't get a job. He can't get anything. A wrestler, everybody loves him when he's standing underneath them lights and the people are cheering and the money is coming in. But as soon as the lights goes off and the cheering stop, where can that wrestler turn? You remember me a while back, I was going through some hard times. There's not one wrestler that I could turn and say, brother, can you help me out?
Yeah.
They're making millions of dollars. They won't give you the sweat off their ass. And you roll up and down the road with them. You travel with them. You sacrifice for them. You got in fights for them. You got in trouble with the office for them. But as soon as your career is over with WWE, they forget about you. The moment you walk out that door, it's like you was never there. They don't even mention your name no more. I remember one time a guy left and I asked one of the wrestlers, I'm not going to call his name, I said, where's so-and-so? And he said, oh, don't mention it, he's gone. He's gone. That's all you need to know, he's gone. You get strep.
Now, why couldn't you mention that person's name?
They don't even want to talk about it.
They don't even want to talk
Don't even
about
want to
it.
discuss
Who was
it.
it, Tony?
Well, he's back now.
Who is it?
It was a young kid. He had that big black guy with him. What was that kid name? Young blonde-headed kid.
Young blonde-headed kid.
Yeah, he got busted for the pot, but he had a license for it.
License for pot.
He had a big black guy that used to bodyguard with him. The big black guy ended up becoming ECW champion right before they got rid of ECW.
Ezekiel Jackson?
Ezekiel Zaka.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, he was with Ezekiel, the young kid was. Had blonde hair.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Something like that.
People are going to crucify us online. They're going to be like, how don't you remember that? But I mean, that's...
Yeah. He was with
It'll
Ezekiel.
probably come to me right as we finish.
Yeah, he used to come out with Ezekiel at first. Then they put Ezekiel by himself. Yeah, but he's back now.
He's back now.
Yeah, I seen him back now. But he failed the piss test. But he needed for pain because he couldn't take pain pills. So he got medical marijuana for his pain. And the marijuana he had, you couldn't get stoned. They took what they call the THC or whatever is in it. They took that out of it so that it only take care of the pain, but he couldn't
Medicinal use.
Medicinal use only.
Yes.
But you could smoke the whole thing and you won't get high. You couldn't get high off of it. It was just strictly for pain. But still, they found THC or whatever in his system, and he got fired. Nobody talked about it. I seen a guy leave the next day, and I said, "Where's so-and-so?" And this go all the way back to the 70s. Wrestlers are not friends. They are business associates.
Business associates.
How did I end up homeless? See?
Series of unfortunate events.
And could not get one wrestler to help me.
Did the wrestlers know you were homeless?
Bobby, yes.
Who? Who knew?
They all knew.
Who?
Everyone that when I went back at Saba Simba, they all was talking about it. Everybody in the dressing room knew. Hey, I hear you was doing pretty bad up in Maine. I hear you was homeless, eating out of trash can.
Can I play devil's advocate respectfully? Mm-hmm. If you lived in a park under a bench, how were they supposed to find you?
Because see what it. When you live in a small town, everybody know everybody. It was no secret in Maine. So when the wrestler came to match it, people tell them things. See, it's an old saying, telephone, telegraph, and tele-wrestler. They could go to the gym and say, hey, don't Tony Atlas live here? Yeah, man, but he's not doing good now. He's homeless. When I used to go to Philly, people tell me stuff about Joe Frazier when he was living. I didn't have to meet Joe Frazier to find out he's Joe Frazier. You know, when you're a celebrity, people don't have to be where you at. Word get around when something happened to you.
All right, that's fair enough.
I mean, it was on MTV.
Well, okay, in a documentary 10 years after the fact, right?
It was on MTV, so it wasn't like it was a secret there. You know, MTV talked about it. I mean, I was on radio station talking about it. I mean, I've been talking about it ever since it happened. When I went to WWE and played Saba Simba, every wrestler in the dressing room knew. But I couldn't ask one for a quarter.
Wow. And that's unfortunate.
But that's the business. And the boys keep it that way. I was going to ride with Ric Flair one time. And I was going to give Don Canuta a ride. And Flair said, if you take him, I'm not going with you. And I said, why not? He said, you got your spot, Tony, on top. I got my spot on top. He want his spot on top. He would do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes to get on top.
So
if he could tell something on me that would get him higher on the food chain, he would do it in a heartbeat. I was in the dressing room when George Scott was the booker of WWF then. And he was chewing me out for some few things. And I said, George, how you know these things? George Scott said, who do you ride with? The safest spot for a pro wrestler is in the ring. Because in the ring, he can protect himself. The most dangerous spot for a pro wrestler is in a car when you're traveling. That's the most dangerous spot for a wrestler. Because the guy that you say something to, and Vince asked him one question, said, what happened with you and Tony? Everybody's constantly, because there's only room for one at the top.
again, that is unfortunate. I do want to circle back
And
to...
another thing that we keep saying wrestling. There's no more wrestling. It's sports entertainment now. The wrestling ended in 1990. After 1990, there's no more wrestling.
All entertainment for the most part.
They don't wrestle.
Right.
How can you call something wrestling when you don't do it? Kicking, punching, and acrobatic move is not wrestling.
Showmanship.
It's showmanship. They do a lot of high spots and a lot of stuff. Nobody wrestles anymore. Bob Orton Jr. wrestler. Terry
cowboy.
Funk wrestler. Ric Flair wrestler. If you look at the matches, they wrestling. They're not bouncing off the road like a bunch of Mexican jumping beans. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying Mexican jumping beans. But
you're gonna get the Me Too hashtag.
oh yeah, yeah.
Twitter,
We're jumping beans, okay? Black jumping beans now even out. So that's pretty much how it is now. There's no such thing as Vince's own words. Ted Turner lost because he was in the wrestling business. I won because I'm in the entertainment business.
Famous
now,
words.
It can't be no plainer than that.
Right. But
wrestling is a thing of the past. People don't want to see wrestling no more.
I don't know if that's necessarily
They don't want to
true.
see wrestling more. Look at the houses. If you try to wrestle and have a wrestling match, people would crap on it. They would go boring.
There would have to be a re-education to a degree. You're right.
The world is different. Just like, to me, music was played by notes and you sing. That was music. Now, music is yo, yo, yo. That's music now.
That's music now. All right. Well, Tony, I do want to
get... With the same beat for every song.
You're right about that. But let's
you
go...
You hear one, you hear them all.
Let's circle back, Tony. We got to circle back. You get off topic sometimes. And I want to let you tell
your
story.
I'm not all there. I got concussions, you know.
I know. I want to let you tell your story, though. But, Tony, I got to ask you, after everything that happened, did you ever go back to Puerto Rico?
Yes, I did.
And what led you to go back?
Carlos Colon called me in 2010 to come back to do the
was that long afterward? It was 2010?
2010.
22 years after the fact.
Yeah, I went back to do Carlos Colon anniversary in 2010. Me, Booker T was there, the Stanner brothers was there, and Abdullah the Butcher. And believe it or not, Jose came up to me and shook my hand and walked away. Yeah.
Did you feel like you were in any danger going back?
No.
No. You felt safe?
No, because it wasn't the same Puerto Rico. I mean, we were selling out stadiums, and now we're in a little wink-and-dink business. After the death of Brodie, Puerto Rico died with Brodie. I mean, the crowds, the big names wouldn't go there no more. People, it killed the business.
Yeah.
You couldn't get the big names to come there anymore.
Right.
So
there was a big turnoff with the boys. After
so a lot of guys
boycotted.
Carlos got boycotted by a lot of wrestlers, and they wouldn't go there to perform. And if you can't get the big names, you can't draw.
The houses are
so little by now that we got cable television, all the wrestlers now are focused on WWE. So if you can't get guys, ex-wrestlers like Nash and Hogan and these guys that was with the WWE, then you can't do business. You have to have WWE guys to do business, because this is, to the people today, WWE is where all the rest of it. You get guys from Ring of Honor, anywhere else you want to get them from. They're not going to have the impact on the fans like WWE. There's no wrestling organization that could put more asses in the seat the way John Cena does.
Well, so for the most part, you'd say Puerto Rico wrestling is dead, or it's not what it is.
No. The best thing for Carlos to do is sell it to Vince and let Vince start it over again.
Did you feel awkward when you ran into Carlos Colon and Jose Gonzalez for that first time?
No, not really.
Really? Now, why is that? You witnessed a murder that was covered up for the most part. Why didn't it feel strange to you to go back into a locker room with these people after the fact? So much time had passed?
Well, it's just me, because I guess it was how I was raised.
Yeah.
It's not the first one I've seen.
You've seen more than one murder?
No, yeah, I've seen lynchings.
Really?
Remember, I was raised, I'm old.
It's true.
And they didn't desegregate America until the 70s.
Right.
So I was raised up in the 60s and the 50s. So it was, I seen stabbing, I seen shooting. For most black kids, it's not an unusual thing. Especially today, it's worse than in my day.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't unusual for me to walk home from wrestling practice and see a dead body laying somewhere.
Oh my God.
That was not unusual in most black neighborhoods across the country, and nothing changed.
Well, Tony, I have to ask you as we finish up this program, whether you want to take a few sentences, a few minutes, what could you tell the fans at home that didn't know the man, a little bit about your friend, Bruiser Brody, that, again, was murdered 30 years ago this week?
First of all, he was a veteran. He served in the military. He had a heart of gold, a good family man, loved his wife, loved his kids. In fact, he wanted me to draw a picture of his son. And when he went to the emergency room, he was still holding that picture in his hand of his son. The picture was soaking wet in blood. You couldn't even see the face, all just soaking wet in blood, just like just a wet piece of paper in his hand. It was so wet, so much blood that the picture was actually stuck to his hand when the blood dried. So when he went in the operating room, that picture was dry to his hand. He was very generous for a man of his size and stature in the ring.
Really?
He would make you look like $1 million in the ring. I wrestled with him many times. He took very, very good care of me. Never had a problem with him. Most people never did have a problem with him. But if you got on his wrong side, he would beat the living daylights out of you. He was known for beating up people. He was a big, rugged guy. But in the olden days, wrestlers would do that. He was not the only wrestler that would beat you up in the ring. I used to beat guys up in the ring. That's why people say, oh, I remember you, Tony, when it was real. Some of my matches was for real because the guy would piss me off and I just whoop his ass right there. Who cut all that out was Vince. You couldn't fight in the ring no more. Now, we had another promoter named Cowboy Bill Watts. If you got in a fight, he loved it. He would say, we fight in the dressing room. Bill said, oh, don't fight back here. Look, let me move your match up. Yeah. He said, let me move your match up. Yeah. I was going to have you on 4th. I'll put you on number 2. Y'all selling it out there. Make some money doing it. That's why I brought up the Roseanne thing, because that could have really helped America. ABC, I know it's not part of the segment, but if they would put that program back on and let her work through her problems, there's other people that feel like her. And by watching her work with this problem and solving this problem that she had, you can help thousands of other Americans with the same sentiment. But by shoving it under the rug like that, you force a lot of people to feel that they can't speak what they feel.
Right.
They feel like if the least little thing you say, you get labeled as a racist and you lose your whole career. When they got rappers using the N-word, but when a very, very, very dear friend of mine don't have a racist bone nowhere in his body, love black people, use the word out of anger, lose everything. Hulk Hogan. Now,
we talked about that earlier in the year, and I know you said the Hulkster enjoyed the show.
It was so unfair. I knew Hogan since 1978, and me and him traveled together. We lived together. Hogan would do anything for me, treated me like gold. I mean, when he did autograph signing, somebody said, Tony Atlas out there, Hogan would leave the signing. They paying this man $100,000 to sign a picture. He would leave a table, leave people that paid him $100,000 just to come over here and shake hands with me. He didn't care about the money. I'm his friend. And when I see what they did with him, and then at the same time you put on a rap song and they're using all through the song.
All right, well, Tony, again, we certainly drifted off from the topic at hand.
No, believe it or not.
All right.
Wrestling.
Tie it in, baby.
I'm telling you, here where a lot of people missed the boat at. Hogan, the Sheik, the person that made WWE so big was the Ayatollah Khomeini. He held the American hostages. Everybody want to leave it alone. McMahon, who is very smart, did not leave it alone. He took an Iranian and made him world champion. People had anger. They wanted to go to war. They couldn't go to war because the government would not declare war on Iran. So they was able to come to the ratchet matches, the wrestling match.
Take out their frustration.
And then Iron Sheik was the one that helped them to do that. It's kind of like my shoes. The girl, the frustration I felt from my dad beating my mom, I was able to let the girl beat me so that she could relieve her frustration. Vince used the Iron Sheik for people to, that was a way for them to go out their world. And they said, why they didn't use Jimmy Snooker or they didn't use me? Or, we was what they call minorities. See, that wouldn't have worked. They needed an all-American boy. Now, when you think about all-American boy, Hulk Hogan was an all-American kid. The blonde hair, blue eyes, big bronze body. He had everything for the, you eat your vitamins, and say your prayers, all-American, image. So when this big American champion came and defeated the Iranian champion, they didn't see the Sheik as the WWE champion. They saw the Sheik as the Iranian champion. The same thing happened in what made Arnold Schwarzenegger. There was a bodybuilder by the name of Sergio Oliva. Mm-hmm. He was from Cuba. He became Mr. Olympia. Mr. Olympia is like world bodybuilding champion. He was world bodybuilding champion during the Cuban thing with Castro. Mm-hmm. So everybody wanted to see somebody beat this big Cuban. So they wanted Dave Draper to do it. They called him the Blonde Bummer. Where Dave Draper, the night of the contest, the day of the contest, he flew to New York to compete. The next morning, for some reason, he got on a plane and left. So now Sergio become world champion again. And we were going through the Cuban Missile Crisis. And this guy was world bodybuilding champion from Cuba, Sergio Oliva. So now we had to go we couldn't find nobody in America to beat this guy. So we got a big Caucasian from Austria named Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. And he beat the Cuban during the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik during the Iranian conference.
All right, Tony, I'll ask you.
So wrestling always have followed world event. When they became Saba Simba, what happened during Saba Simba?
Wasn't it Mandela?
Mandela got what was released.
All right, well, Tony, again, we got to circle back to the subject at hand. Running out of time here. We had some final thoughts on Bruiser Brody. Do you think the professional wrestling industry learned anything from that tragic night in Puerto Rico? Isn't that a sad way to sum it up? And that's the answer I was kind of looking for.
Nope.
All right, well, one month from now, Tony, WWE SummerSlam is headed to Brooklyn, New York. New York City has been the home of that company going back to the 50s. We're going to have a blockbuster episode, I think. Unlike tonight, it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. We're going to have a live studio audience here. I think it's going to be lively. You'll get a chance to show off your guns. Maybe we'll even see some nice shoes, but that remains to be seen. For the Hall of Famer, Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marty. Until we speak again, folks.
Kick your husband in the face.
You and yours be well.
Happy Father's Day.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at the Cumberland County Civic Center in Portland, Maine, Tuesday, May the 25th, 1982. In the opening contest, Rick McGraw beat Fred Marzino. Steve Travis with the win over Baron Mikel Cicluna. Blackjack Mulligan defeated Lauren Sochi. Superfly Jimmy Snuka victorious over Tony Gurria. Polish Power Ivan Putski beat Cowboy Bob Orton via countout. And in the main event, Adrian Adonis replacing Jesse Ventura with the win over Tony Atlas via countout. If you were in Portland live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our world-renowned Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insider's Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times. Join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021.